I would say the characters in the show are greater than the story itself.
I would agree. Yes.
Right?
Because, okay, we have harped a lot about
Hi, this is Juniper.
Hello, this is Elle.
Welcome to our pod again. And today we're going to talk about Love Game in Easter Fantasy, which we had started talking about on our last pod. It was a show that we were thoroughly enjoying. About halfway, well, we weren't halfway through, probably a third of the way through at the time. Now we finished, so we figured we devote more time to the show because it's quite popular, and it's now on Netflix in the States.
Yes.
So I'll kick us off, and then I'll go take a nap. But no, I'm not gonna go take a nap. But honestly, I love the show at the beginning, and it was such a joy to watch. Right, the characters are hilarious. The setups, the situations were great. The chemistry was great between the main couple, like Esther Yu's character Miao Miao and Ryan Ding's character Ziqi. It was going great, but at some point, I realized that I was no longer itching to watch the next episode. And I started texting you then, Elle, and said, I think the show went downhill. Something happened around the midway point when they go to the Capitol and after. And you were slightly behind me, so I was waiting for you to catch up. And now that you finished, we wanted to talk about how you feel versus how I feel. And I would say that as we were talking right before this show, we also had an epiphany. So we'll talk about that epiphany as well.
Yes. Okay, so we really did enjoy the first third when we started talking about it. And I think part of it was comedy. There was a lot of funny moments. And so basically the high level synopsis is Esther Yu's character. She's a reader of a series of books from a certain author. She's like a big fan of him, and she's reading his latest novel, and she just completely hates it. She read it, and it was like well below her expectations, and she writes a sort of scathing review. And then in the midst of writing that scathing review, she gets sucked into the novel. And so pretty much in the first 20 minutes, you're in the novel with her. And so she embarks on this journey, meeting these characters and sort of changing the original intent of the role that she's in. She's supposed to be the villain, and she basically changes the destiny of her character so that she becomes very, well liked and well received, and is a part of this little gang of the protagonists.
Yeah, like let's call them the musketeers, the demon hunting musketeers, right?
Yeah.
I mean, she gave themselves a name, but
yeah, was it the four bamboo masters?
Yeah, or something like that, bamboo quartet.
Yeah.
Anyways, we don't have to use it, but yeah.
And so it's very charming. So there's two CPs, there's Esther Yu, Ryan Ding, and then this other couple. And I don't know their names, but it's funny because I was watching the second female lead. Actually, the only thing I ever watched her in was in Eternal Love or 10 Miles of Peach Blossom,
which I have not watched.
Yeah, she was a villainess, and she was so hated in that. Like for years, people just hated her. And actually, I read some comments where people were like, "Oh, she's really likable in this," because a lot of people hadn't seen her since then, just like me. So I was like, "Oh, thank goodness for her. She got a role that made her likable."
She was in Meet the Dragon with Dylan Wang, which again. Not necessarily.
Was she likable in that?
I don't know. I never watched it. Were you going to rush to watch it?
Oh. No. I thought you saw some clips. Yeah, so I hadn't seen this actress, so that drama came out in 2017, so that was a long time ago. But I was like, oh, she's actually really likable here, and she plays a very noble, typical heroine-like character. So, the first CP and the second CP were both very well matched, and I like them. As CPs in their own terms.
And they're very different.
They're very different. And there's not a lot of angst. I mean, this is not an
Yeah.
angst-driven romance, you know.
No.
It's very straightforward. They're cute and you're watching them get together and there's not a lot of obstacles. So I mean the main obstacle here. So the story itself is that in the beginning, there's this demon, what was her name? She's like a female demon. And the prediction is that
He's like
she will
the
sort of
overlord, the master demon of all demons.
yeah.
The queen of all demons.
And the queen of demons. And so there's a prophecy that you know, if she gains enough power, she will take over and destroy the world. And so, you know, the stakes are very high, right? So in the beginning, you're just watching these demon catchers, and they don't really have a clear mission. They're just kind of catching demons along the way. And so she sort of just joins them, Esther Yu's character.
Well,
and so
can I interrupt here?
What?
Did you even care about that? Like you said, I feel like you forgot that was the plot. That the game's plot that they were in the simulation for, she was, you know, was about the destruction of the world and the because she had her own mission, which was you have to make the male lead, the other villain, like you 100%.
Yeah, fall in love with her, right? Or they say conquer him is what they say. Oh, okay. So I mentioned this in the last part. So this drama is based on a novel, a web novel, and for a while in China, it was very trendy to write novels where when you go into the novel, it's like you're in a video game and there's a system. They call it a task system. And there's a voice, and only you can hear that voice. And they tell you, oh, you have these missions. You must complete them before you can return to your real world. And so the idea is that it's sort of like shenanigans, right? Like they throw like these weird missions to you, like you must do something extreme. And so she does get sent these little missions. Like she has to destroy this map that has like all the locations of all these demons, and it's a rare artifact. And she had to I guess change the medication that goes to the second female lead. So she was like doing these weird things, and then because of that, it causes a domino effect of reactions from the other characters, right? And that's where the comedy comes in, because she's like, I don't want to do this, but the thing is telling me if I don't do it, I can't return to the real world. And so that was the humor, and it was hilarious. And we talked, a lot about that. And so when you talk about the capital, so spoilers, right? So once she gets to the capital, they meet a whole set of new characters. This is episode?
It was
15 beyond.
It doesn't matter. It's about the midway point. Yeah.
Yeah, midway. So they meet these new characters, right? And so one of the things that happens is that she gets this bangle gets put on her wrist, this wooden bangle, and apparently it just changes her personality. And so what happened is that I made her fall in love with this guy who she doesn't really even know or like, but she believes she loves him and she's gonna marry him. And so like it's like a little monkey wrench that they throw in. But you're like, wait, what's happening here, right? So after all of that is said and done, she gets her memory back. After that, things get weird. Like, so she lost her memory. So for a while, like, okay, she lost her memory, so she wasn't herself. But then, as the story continued, it lost the charm of the beginning, where there's the task. Like the task system doesn't kick in, and it's not revealed till like near the very end that there was a pivotal moment she needed to save them, and she asked the task system like, "Yo, help me! I need energy to fight the demon or whatever the evil powers." And they say, "Well, if you use this, you will start to lose your memory."
Yes.
And she's like, "Oh, okay, I'll do it." They're like, "You'll lose the real you. You forget your real identity." And she's like, "It's okay. I want to save them. They're real. These characters are real to me." And so, but they don't reveal that till later. So in the probably 2/3 of the rest of the drama, she is not the original reader, the real person anymore. She has fully been sort of sucked into this world. So she's no longer doing tasks for this task system. She's not reacting like a reader who would know, like, oh, if I do this, maybe I'll change something.
The charm and the wit is gone.
Yeah, she just becomes this typical character that you see in these fantasy stories.
Which is boring.
Yes. So, I mean, for me, that was it, right? So actually, the epiphany you and I were talking about is that she had the memory loss. So she had amnesia, basically, with the wooden bracelet, the bangle. And then she had memory loss with the system. And then you reminded me she had memory loss.
She lost her memory 4 times, basically.
Yeah, she lost her memory 4 times. There was another demoness that like took her memories when she like cried, like the tears contain her memory.
Right.
So like she lost that memory. And then at the very end, when they're no longer book characters, she's back in her real world. She thinks she had a dream, and she's like, I don't remember the name of the guy or his face.
Right.
But I feel like I had loved him very much. And we're like, oh my god, she had like amnesia 4 times.
She basically. Well, first, so what did I say when we had the epiphany? I was like, wow, so they really was like it was like the scriptwriter was throwing darts at a board, and the board only had one trick on it, which was amnesia. So they used it 4 times in 4 layers, like a Russian doll, right? Like nested doll.
Yes.
And she just kept losing parts of herself. First, like you said, right? First, the first time was like a trial run with the bangle, where she forgot she loved Ziqi because they hadn't confessed. But then she regained that. But then right after that, right, she forgot her real life self. Then she forgot Ziqi again because of the tears and the demon. And then when she got back to the real world, she really forgot everyone again. So I was like, so she kept shedding, like, what's left of her, right? She kept shedding the interesting bits of her, right?
Yeah.
So she's like a empty husk of a woman. No wonder the show got boring because nothing left. There was no substance. They shed everything that the show did dirty, I think, to the audience in some ways because it did a bait and switch. To me, it felt like a bait and switch, right? It was a high promise. You're like, wow, this is really great. It's good. And then suddenly it all changed. Like, you didn't care about the demon hunting. You didn't care about, saving the world and beating, like, all evil. Which is what it became. It devolved into this, like, what would I call it? A generic video game about platitudes of, you called it Love Saves All? And I said,
love
yes.
is the greatest thing of all.
Yeah. And I said, Tao Lanjue from the same production team and same producer kind of was on that same theme. And people have said online, especially in China, that the producer guy, who does these shows, right, has now decided that they're all about love. Love conquers all, but it's such a boring variety of love, the way he talks about it. So that's why those other shows flop, they said, like the Fox Spirit Matchmaker and stuff. They're like, it plays like a generic kids cartoon where it's all about this and that, but like there's no emotional focus on core. And that's kind of what it felt like. Like, I would say the characters in the show are greater than the story itself.
I would agree.
Right?
Yes. Because, we have harped a lot about Lost You Forever, where love is everything, right? Like, almost like to the point where like nothing else matters. One could argue in this drama, the characters are infinitely better. Like, actually, if we're going to compare, right, the male leads, they both had crappy childhoods, and they actually show that in flashback sequences, but they overcome them. Even Zhiqi, who has like a really prickly personality and doesn't get close to anyone, but he doesn't use that as a crutch to be like, because he's half demon, so he could have just been like, let's be full on demon and be an asshole, right? But he's not. He's like, he really wants to be part of something. He wants his sister, his I guess adopted sister, to love him, and he's very insecure that he'll lose her love, and that's actually a driving force in the early part of the show. And I actually thought the sibling relationship was done really beautifully. So I would say, yes, I would agree that the plot is very straightforward. Because I almost feel like because it was so straightforward, they couldn't figure out what to do to make it more interesting. So hence the multiple bouts of amnesia. And then also almost makes like what?
Finish your thought and then I'll tack on.
Oh,
sorry.
I was gonna say it almost makes it like so okay, I will say I read the first chapter of the book just to get a peek into the characters. I didn't get very far, but in the book version, the female lead, the Esther character, she's actually like very, very critical of writing in general. Like she comes off like she's actually very like to the point. And so when you first read it, you're like, oh, she's like really critiquing this book. So when she enters the world, she's also heavily critiquing the world she's in. And I think they kind of didn't do that very much. I mean, they did where they put her in these funny scenarios, but like the more she became part of them and was no longer the reader, the less you felt like on one hand it was really fun to travel with her because you can relate to her as a reader, right? You're like, oh yeah, like why would they do this, why would they do that, right? But now because she's no longer the reader looking, you know, above, looking down into the story, she's like a part of the story, it becomes less it lost that level of where you can relate to her too, where it's like, well, this seems like a plot hole here, or this doesn't make sense, or I could see that villain coming a mile away.
It became
like you lose that.
It became a watered down version. You know how I texted you this, I think earlier, I said, in a way, there's a lot of metaphorical representation or mirroring of themes happening with the whole epiphany about memory loss 4 times. There's also like how, you know how like at the end of the show, before they exit the world, the fake world, she leaves first, right? In the multiple endings, which I was like, how many fake out endings can you have? Because there were like, I think 3 or 4, which I was like, oh my God, this is very tedious finale, right? And he was like, immediately knew it wasn't her. He's like, oh, you're not Meow Meow. You're not the woman I love. But how does he know that? It was because of personality, right? She's like a genericized NPC in a video game now, not the person from else. I was like, but honestly, Meow Meow wasn't Meow Meow for the last like 12 episodes. So you didn't notice it then? Like that she was no longer your Meow Meow. And that's what the show did. It watered itself down to become, like I said, a generic video game. It took the video game too seriously almost and became that rather than a farce, not a farce, a parody. What do you it's a parody, right? That plays on the tropes of what you would expect in a video game. And by the way, why is it a video game when it's a book she entered?
Well, because that was the trend in the Chinese novels.
But you know what I'm saying, right? Like that part made no sense, but I didn't question anything. Like this is not a show where you question the logic, how they reset the world 4 times. You know, why is it that, you know, he wears a hair tie, but he doesn't. Someone actually said, does he not wash his hair then? Because if he can't take off his hair tie, it means he doesn't ever wash his hair. I was like, that's a good point. I'm not going to question it.
I was gonna comment. Actually, I thought the wigs in this looked really nice. Like they actually look like real hair. It's not like if you actually looked at it like texturally, it doesn't have like that straight glossy sheen that looks synthetic. Like actually looks like real hair.
Yeah, so the production, the aesthetics are fine, right? You cannot say the aesthetics are bad on any of these productions from, was it Starlight Entertainment, right? 苍兰诀 being the first, has that same look and feel. 苍兰诀 also devolved, I think I told you, into this kind of almost boring land, but it was only in the last 4 episodes of a, 36 episode run as well. No, this was only 32, so it's shorter. But this one took half of the show to be boring and devolve, and it gave up on like the main CP. It was almost like, oh, okay, now they confess to each other. Let's just abandon that storyline. There was no fun interplay anymore after that, right? Which were all of the things that hooked you in the first place, in addition to the wit and the comedy. And you're just like, well, where's the story going? Oh, let's just quest after this, go on a search for that. Let's find everyone and their mother and uncle and nanny and talk to them.
And then who also
which is how video games work
to them.
Right. It's all how video games work, right? You go talk to characters to find out more information. I was like, but I don't actually want to play this like a video game where I have to go talk to everyone on side quests I don't want to do, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah, I mean, look, I will say the supporting characters are all very cute too. Like, I actually like that. Every time they had like a huge villain, they would just appear and disappear. Like, it wasn't like it didn't. I think that's how we were able to finish it, to be honest, because it wasn't laborious, even though, like you said, like the charm went away. The side characters are all individually pretty unique. I love
Bamboo Kid.
I love Choi Choi, right? He's so cute. I love the masters, the old master, the second male leads Sifu. who you mentioned is a Taiwanese actor. I'm not familiar with his
Oh, there
work.
are a lot of actors in this that I spot. I'm like, I'm so happy to see them. Like the Sifu, right? The old guy.
Mm-hmm.
He was
Yep.
his name's Zhang Chengguang. If I remember this, I used to watch his shows when I was a kid with my mom. He was a Taiwanese actor. Well, he
Yeah.
still is. That's why he has an accent. If you listen to his, they didn't dub him. He has a very Taiwanese
Oh.
accent when he speaks Mandarin. So it's nice to see him. I haven't seen him in any shows. I didn't know he was still acting.
Yeah. He was very
used to play-
natural. Like he was good.
Yeah. The water demon guy.
I don't know him.
So yes, he's not famous at all. But a few years ago, there was a very minor costume drama called Ancient Detective that was slightly popular. And it's actually a very good show. So if you get bored, you should watch it. It's actually a really fun show. And I wish they would make a sequel because it kind of ended on a cliffhanger. And he was the star of that show. It was a very witty, ancient, like the story is Ancient Detective, right? And he was the star.
Yeah.
So it's nice to see him in this. Who else was in this?
Well, Jillian Chung.
Oh,
yes, Twins.
Yes, Twins. So she's very pretty, I have to say. But
yes.
so it was nice to see all of these actors, and each character, there was not really a lot of hateful characters. To be honest, everyone had a good heart at core, except I would say the aunt, who they somehow whitewashed her into. I was like, wait, so she was gonna kill him because she can't get over the fact. I was like, what is wrong with this woman, right? And then they were just gonna let it go.
He killed her friend.
They were gonna let it go. I was like, wait, that was a quick turnaround. So there were some random lessons learned, I have to say. Even though the endings half was sucky, I was like, so really, what is the show trying to tell us? Well, you should always read all your messages and emails, because what happens when the second male lead, Sifu's friend, who is the father, right, of the main character's sister.
Yeah.
Anyways, he didn't read the whole book, right, about demons and stuff, so he didn't understand the consequences of what he did when he killed his mom. Not his mom, but Zishi's mom, and it also obviously then created the monster version of her, right?
Right.
And then the friend didn't read his emails, so he didn't know. So I was like, so guys, really, you should read all your emails and respond in time.
Same thing happened with Zhi's mom's friend, where she was gonna kill him, and then she goes, "Oh, this Pearl has the more information I didn't know," which was that his dad didn't abandon his mom, right? That's why she was like really mad. Like, it's that the mom was like, "You need to go." Like, they loved each other, and they said you have to go, and they did it to protect Zhi. But like everyone thought like the dad like was, because he's human, he abandoned her and like married some other woman, and so like you said, so basically there's amnesia and lots of misunderstanding, and that's really what
missed messages or hidden messages. You're like, really? Okay, so the scriptwriter had 2 dartboards, not just one. Dedicated to one theme each. And then the other thing I noticed, I was like, I think if the show's trying to tell you love is everything, everyone deserves love, it sure has a weird way of going about it, because if I didn't know better, I would actually say that the show in the second half told you that most demons were evil or bad news. Don't you get that feeling? Like, his mom, who was the greatest, nicest woman ever, turned into basically the most evil being on Earth the minute she lost her heart.
Well, I think another spirit took over her body, right? It wasn't really her, was she?
No, they just said if she loses her heart, then she becomes this version of herself. It's like saying Anakin Skywalker becomes Darth Vader. It's still Anakin.
I see.
He's now Darth Vader, right?
Yeah.
So I was like, okay. And then, like the water demon guy, they were evil for a while, right? And then
they let them go.
Right. And then there was the so I actually did like this part in the last arc. I actually thought the second CP storyline was much better than the main CPs. They had nothing for the main CP to do. They abandoned what was interesting about them and just said, go on quest. You must finish game. The second CP had a much more interesting side storyline, which is, they found his old village, which was supposed to be all dead. Right. Yes. And it turned out they were all zombies revived, right?
Yeah.
By the demon he thought he had killed.
Yeah.
The
His
illusion
friend.
demon. The illusion demon,
Yeah.
right? Whatever. So she's evil if you think about it, right? They make it out
Yeah,
to be like,
she's pure evil.
but she's not pure evil. It's not that she's trying to do evil things, but everything she does comes out really bad. So what are you trying to tell me? That the most innocent demon is evil for you if you're human. And there was the fox demon who she was collaborating with. Well, think about this, right? She pretended to be good only for the man she loved who's human, but underneath it all, she does anything possible. She's unscrupulous in the way she fulfills the need to make the guy happy. Which I was like, okay, so you're just telling me all these people are evil. So are you really trying to tell me that love is, all conquering and universal and everyone's worthy of love? Or are you telling me demons are just bad news?
I think they're saying love justifies some of their actions.
No, that would be wrong. That would
no,
be
I'm
wrong.
saying that's what the drama is saying.
I really hope not, because if that's what they're saying, then there's something even worse about the drama than I thought.
No, it's true, because the little demon who killed the villagers, she did it because she was like, I want to play with my brother, and she didn't know what she was doing. She thought like he wouldn't have a problem with it, right? She's like, I want to keep him all to myself. And then the wife, the fox demon, she's the same thing. She's like, oh, I just want to keep my husband happy. I don't even want him to know that my daughter died. So like she used the zombie, powers to make a fake daughter. So like, but their perspective is that I'm doing it because I love so and so I'm doing this for them or to keep them or whatever, right? So yeah.
But are you saying the show is condoning that? Because if somebody did that, if someone took that as okay and did it in real life, I really that you got serious problems.
I don't know if the show condones it, but the show is saying that this is the reason they do what they did, right? Like even the water demon and his wife, that was because they were trying to they love each other, right? And they were trying to keep each other alive. That's why she absorbed all those people's souls. Remember, she needed their blood or whatever. So it's all like, oh, I love my wife. I can't let her die. So he helped her, even though he was on the outside of the formation. So. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what message they're sending.
Yeah, I'm not sure why they went all throughout, other than maybe life is gray. But then if life is truly gray, why are you all about love conquers all? Then just commit to life is gray.
Or commit to demons are just evil,
Right.
there's you don't have to explain it. They just kill for the sake.
It just seems to not really have a moral focus, to be honest. But then it insists on coming back to this platitude of love conquers all. And then gives you 4 fake out endings.
Yes. So speaking of fake out endings, so one thing I did, I was just talking to you offline was, so when they revealed that, so basically they revealed that Ji's character is really based on the author himself, and he wrote an initial version of the story, and then that was the version that the main female lead read and hated, and that's why she got sucked into the novel. But at the very end, he kind of has this weird meeting of with his, I don't know if it's his psyche or the real author's psyche, but basically they combine Ziqi to realize he's actually the author himself. And he has this little dialogue with Esther by saying Miao Miao, by saying, basically I wrote this book for you. And I was telling you, I have a hard time understanding, and that's a plot hole to me, because in the bulk of the drama, she's the one saying, I'm in this book and I'm going to change the story. I'm going to change the ending. And she's actually driving the interactions, and because she knew in advance what was going to happen, she would try to change what happened. So she saved, she changed her father's, sort of trajectory in the story, because he was supposed to be, I think, killed for fraud and embezzlement. And then she changed her own character, who was supposed to be evil, and she made her a likable character, and she changed Chi. And so I was like, I feel like she was the driver. But then he's saying to her, I wrote this book for you. I want this to have a happy ending. So I'm like, so did he puppeteer her? Do you know what I'm saying? There's this weird thing that they're trying to do to make this sort of metaphysical. And it doesn't really work for me, because then you're saying she had no agency. She kind of went in, and he's like, oh, let me change her and call her Miao Miao instead of, Lin Yu, which was her original character.
I think if we go to fake out ending number 3 or 4, whatever the last one was, I didn't count.
Yeah.
I think the way they tried to explain that was to say whatever they do have agency in the story as they're living it. But no matter what, the ending is set in stone unless the author changes it. Because remember,
Oh, yeah.
the world was gonna end no matter what. Whoever you
That's
save,
right.
whoever you turn good. So that's I think what they meant. But honestly, I think you're overthinking it. It's not that deep of a show.
Yeah.
It thinks
That's
it
true.
is, but it isn't. By trying to be
Yeah.
more than it is, it kind of fell flat in the second half.
Yeah.
But I still enjoyed the show. Definitely would,
Yeah.
you know, I was disappointed in the second half. But you know, the one good thing I think you and I laughed about it that came out of it is it made me go back and watch Moonlight because the setup of the characters, the actors are all pretty much Moonlight. So then I did. I'm up to episode 22 of Moonlight, and I have to say, once I got past the hateful first 7 or 8 episodes, it was okay. And I just skipped the annoying villains who are, you know, cardboard villains who are so annoying.
Yeah.
And I was like,
yeah.
Right? Like,
no, because I told you I liked Moonlight when I finished Moonlight back then when it came out, and
yeah.
I told you I liked it, but I wasn't gonna try to convince you to watch it because if you don't like someone, you don't like someone. Right?
No, he was not likable in that show in the beginning.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
So he is like a modern day version of Ziqi in that show, but scrawnier and less awesome looking.
More infantile.
Yes.
More infantile.
Yes, and she was a much more grounded person version of Mel Mel in that modern Moonlight version. So it played out okay. And, you know, it's a pretty fast-paced show. So there was not a lot of like trying too hard. Does that make sense? A lot of like I feel like shows tries too hard to be something and it's not. So it's very like comfortable and natural in some ways, even though he's a ridiculous man boy.
Yes, he's a man boy. Yeah, when I started watching this and I saw Chi, I'm like, oh, it's the same character.
Right.
She's quirkier in this one. She's
at the beginning
more, like
she is until she lost all of her and became a husk.
Yeah. Then she just became, like you said, an NPC. But I would say yeah, so actually, yeah, so when you told me, like, oh, everyone's like, go watch Moonlight, and I'm like, oh, now I understand, because the ending. Okay, the ending. Let's talk about the ending here. I was like...
You were annoyed by the ending. The real ending.
Why do they have to do this? Because, okay, so someone... I don't know if this is a real picture, but apparently Ryan Ding was on set and filmed the ending with Esther.
That's what I understand.
In the actual ending, they show her face. You hear a voice, meow meow, and they say, "Oh, the author's coming out," and you never see him. And then they cut to credits, and you're like, "What? WTF? Like, what is happening? Like, why couldn't they just show them together in the real world? Like, they had this whole sequence of him going to getting surgery, and you know he's bleeding from the nose, and you're like, "Oh my god, he made it! He made it! You know, he survived surgery," and they couldn't give them that reunion scene. Like, what is this? Like, I don't know.
I didn't really care at that point because I was so disappointed in the direction the show took itself. I told you, right? I texted you, I said I didn't care where the script was going because the characters just lived on in their own narrative in my head instead. I'm taking the characters and dumping the show script. And I don't care what direction. Right. Yeah, exactly. Right? Like, I will watch Moonlight because the same characters, basically actors, and I was like, it's a much better version at the end, right?
Yes.
Like, it was so good in the first half. So, yeah, disappointing, but at least some good came out of it for me. Yeah.
What rating did you watch? Would you give this?
Well, before we go there, did you watch the end credits on the last episode?
I did.
Okay.
Where they got finally, had a kiss.
Sort of kissed. Sort of kissed.
I was like, because they never kissed. The second CP had like a wedding. They had a kiss. I
think they even had like the night together, right?
Yes. Yeah. The main CP didn't. The main CP was, like you said, abandoned for the sake of whatever.
For everyone else, for the sake of the video game's quest. But I read something about why they couldn't kiss. I don't know if this is true. Someone said online it's because he was a high school student when he wrote this. Because He doesn't kiss people. Like when you're, prepubescent boy or whatever, right? Little boy, you don't kiss girls. I'm like, oh, that's fair. That's actually a fair point if that's true, right? That would actually be a logical explanation.
But the other characters kissed.
But they weren't high school people.
Oh. Oh, what are you saying? Jiqi is supposed to be that young? Like,
well, it's based on him, right? It's him.
Yes. So in his mind, he's not. He can't.
I don't
he's
know
not
if
ready
it's true,
yet.
but it's a plausible explanation, right? But I don't care if they kissed or not. I actually thought the most emotional romantic scene was when he first turned, or second time he turned into a demon, I think, and she hugged him from behind.
Yes.
I was like, that was the highlight. Okay, after that, I was like, oh. It was a lot more cutesy than anything.
Yeah, I liked Ryan's acting in this too. By the way,
He's very good.
I feel like there was so much depth for this supposedly shallow character.
If only they gave him more to do.
I know, but I want to actually see his other stuff. I told you I never got into Tiger and Rose, even though I know he's really well known for that. But like here, I was like, oh, I don't know if he's grown into an actor as well because he's older, but I really thought his performance in those sort of vulnerable scenes were done really beautifully, not overdone, not faked, just very well acted.
And he's a good singer, as we all found out.
Yes, I did not know he was a singer, so yeah.
Tiger or Rose is worth checking out. I know I kind of always say it's not as good in comparison to some other shows that we were talking about at the time, but it is pretty entertaining. But I wouldn't expect great acting chops. It's a very comedic show, though. I do plan to check out now Melody of the Golden Age.
Oh, I do too. Yeah,
I don't expect great things, but it looks, worth checking out.
I heard good things. I've heard people say it's actually good, so I want to check that out too.
We'll see. I don't know. I think some people were frustrated with the female lead character because people. It's a cdrama. They like to write female leads that are independent because that's all the rage now. Except when you look at what they do, you're like, "What? I hope that's not what an independent woman is like, going around setting fires to everything." He does have another show coming up with not our favorite Victoria Song. So we'll see how that plays out.
Oh, really? If that didn't work with Chen Xingxu, I don't know. Ryan, he's kind of up there with acting.
He might work out better actually with Victoria Song than Chen Xingxi.
Yeah. Yeah, he's actually older. He looks younger. he's older than Chen Xingxi.
Oh yeah. He looks like he's like 22.
Yeah, he looks very youthful. Yeah.
He looks like a little monkey. So, anyways, now I'm ready to talk about ratings.
Okay.
You go first.
You give your. Mine's not gonna be as low as you. Mine's actually probably higher than you expect. It's around like an 8.3.
Mm-hmm.
Because I even though the female lead's character kind of got watered down, I still enjoyed it. You know what I mean? Like I said, like even the villains are kind of the only villain I didn't really like was that queen or empress or whoever.
The concubine, the dowager.
Yeah. I didn't like her, but other than that, and it's funny because she's like they had her in the modern day, like
as a teacher.
Yeah, she was a teacher.
Well, you saw versions of all of the characters in the modern day.
I only remember her and then the bamboo boy with his grandpa selling ice cream. I didn't see anyone else. Were there others?
I think the girl, someone pointed out, because I sometimes watch the show when I get bored with the episodes later, right? With the comments on, someone pointed out that the girl that was bullied, that she got into trouble for, got into trouble for saving because of the misunderstanding, was actually the sister.
She was?
You have to go back and see and verify.
Really?
It doesn't matter.
Weren't they like? Yeah, I was gonna say. I think they were like in high school, so it would have been like the young actress playing her.
Yeah,
not
the child actor, not the adult.
I see. Interesting that he made her his sister then in the book.
Well, because
so what would?
What was
I
my
was gonna say,
rating?
what would you? Yeah, what would?
7.5.
Yeah,
7.5, but if I were to rate the first half, which I loved, it would have been an 8.5. Maybe even a
Yeah.
9 because it was so unique and refreshing and
Yes.
entertaining. It was completely tanked by the second half.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. I mean, like, I would say aesthetically also, I really liked the way they did the sets and the colors and the costumes. Like, it was fun. Like, I feel like they had fun. Oh, you know what? One other thing that I think is very appealing to too is that the four main actors, I feel like they had a lot of fun acting in this, which
Yeah.
Which
would have been nice to see more of them.
Yeah, but like, you know, you believe that they're this unit. Even with the little boy, like the five of them, you believe in this unit, and I want to see more of them, like in a different drama, actually.
Yes.
Yeah.
There'll be a threequel. It's like the Moonlight cast plus little boy. Plus sister, I guess. Because the sister wasn't in... Zhu Shidan's not in Moonlight, so they'll have to either keep her or swap her out with another actress.
She's the only actress that gets swapped out.
Maybe third time will be the true charm.
Yeah.
But we shall see, you know. Ryan and Esther definitely make a good pair. So
Yes.
like, she works with Dylan, she works with Ryan. She doesn't always work with everyone else. I mean, you watch more other shows. Like, I watched My Journey to You, which you didn't, and she was so serious. Oh, seriousness. So when Esther Yu is serious and all, like, acting, not a good thing. This is I pointed this out also to you right before we started this, which is Tan Lan went kind of flatlined a little bit at the end when Xia Lanhua's character became the all-wise, all-knowing world savior goddess, right?
Yeah.
And this is actually what happened here too, if you think about it. She lost her memory, she became all-powerful as a result, and she became boring as shit.
Yeah. She also had to play that older, the 900 years ago version, the the Mu ancestor.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think her, like, she has to play to her skill set, which is to be, I don't want to say always cute, because cute will not last forever, right? Like, as she gets older.
Oh.
But I think she, like, charming is her key sort of skill set, and I think she needs to just stick to that. Like, she can't play serious. She cannot play heavy roles. It's not her. It's probably.
I'm not criticizing her.
Life.
My comment isn't critiquing her at all. I'm saying that's the script. The script decided to make her character into this all-wise, knowing, benevolent Guan Yin. Who wants to watch Guan Yin do this and that? You know who Guan Yin is, right?
Yeah,
the benevolent Buddha, female Buddha, everyone like in China prays to. So I'm like, she became Guan Yin, and therefore the story, there's no story. It's boring. Like, it's like asking Jesus to star in a rom-com.
Someone will watch that though.
Someone maybe. I don't know if it will be very entertaining. So I'm not saying this is an Esther Yu problem. I'm saying her characters, when they hit these inflection points, become watered down or not meaningful anymore. Although the fact that you said she should play to her strength, I think she did say that. She tried to go to acting. I read somewhere she went to an acting coach and said, I want to do all of this. And they're like, no. You do what you do well. Perfect that. First, you got a good thing with like your charm and your cutesiness. Do that. Hit it out of the ballpark. Don't try to go do something you don't have a strength in yet. Like, get that down. And I'm like, thank you. That's actually very wise.
Yeah, I mean, interesting that she mentioned that then, because that's how I feel when I watch her. Like, I think, like, she is so cartoony looking. Like, she reminds me of Betty Boop. You know, Betty Boop with the big eyes and the pouty lips. She's like a Betty Boop, and you know, and you told me, you know, that someone mentioned that she lost a lot of weight, and you actually cannot tell because her face is so cute. And I'm glad she didn't get cheeky. She didn't get like the buccal, was it removal? You know, the fat, like the trend some plastic surgeons do, which is removing the fat from the cheek. Like, she didn't do any of that. She kept her little face, and she's adorable. And I think, that's who she reminds me of, Betty Boop. And like, I think playing to that is her strength, and she shouldn't change it. I mean, it would not help her anyways, right? So
She has the opposite facial structure to Ryan Ding, who has like hollow cheeks. Although he did fill out a bit, thank God. He's always been super skinny, which I'm like, oh, bony, like you can't hug a guy like that because it's like, it's going to hurt. Oh, okay, my husband's kind of like that and it does hurt. So I try not to hug him too much. But actually, I just remember both Esther and Ryan are Shanghainese. So, pride to my people.
Your brethren.
Yes.
Anyways, I think we've said more than we planned to. I mean, like it was joyous ride for the first third, and unfortunately, the amnesia just killed all the souls.
It kept going downhill at the end. I mean, there were bits of interest, and it was nice to spot these other actors and actresses. And just to see where they were going to go and just to see the characters still. And that was the reason I was like, I did not abandon the show, but it was definitely lost the luster and the joy of excitement of, looking forward to the next episode. It was more like, yeah, let's see how they're going to rescue this in the ending, right? And then now can I go watch Moonlight? So that's kind of, it's actually good to watch them as a companion pieces because it'll get you through like the show to watch Moonlight with this. Because you can project these two characters into the Moonlight characters very easily and be like, oh, this is how they're like in... People even said that online. They're like, oh, it's like they shot a prequel to Moonlight. Right? If you take Moonlight as them in the real world.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, they're much more affectionate once they get together too. Like they have a lot of cute, like a lot of a lot of a physical affection, which acts like a real couple, which is what was I think sort of missing here.
Well, they never went there. The minute he read the letter, they reconciled. They almost didn't kiss because she was telling him the secret. I am not who you think I am, or I'm not this person. She lost her memory. You're like, okay, and then what?
Yeah. It would have, I think I mentioned to you, it would have been more interesting for her to not ever lose her memory, like not use it as a crutch, so that she can continue doing these random missions that might throw, another monkey wrench. Like that could be a reason why she and her and Ryan, GT have issues in the relationship, right? Like not because she's forgetting her real self. So that's, I don't know if I blame the author of the novel because I never read the book, or if the script.
I don't think it follows.
Yeah, that's the part where I'm like, it's a little bit of a shame. Like it would have been interesting to carry that through the whole drama until the end. Yeah.
I think this scriptwriter maybe doesn't know like you said, they didn't know what to do with the story at a certain point. They're just like, oh, let's pile on everything possible to just like take it down some rabbit hole and end it, right? And at the end when they flash he's at 100%, I was like, I don't care, I forgot about that. Like you haven't revisited this in forever, so why are you bringing it up now? Why does it matter?
Yeah.
Like, why does anything matter at the end? Like, the fact that he has to kill basically his own mother, that was a no, walk in the park, piece of cake. I was like, really? They milk everything else like it's great, grand, like tragedy, right? And dramatic tension. At this piece, nobody says anything about the fact he has to kill his mom. Like, not kill her, but, right?
Yeah,
like face off.
He can't bring her back. Yeah.
So I thought that was kind of like weird, right? Did you not think that was odd?
I like I said at the end, they were okay. I know we're trying to end this pod, but
sorry, that was my fault.
No, but at the end, when there were so many times when they were like, oh, everyone was misled, right? Like the second female lead's dad, she found out he misled her, and then
no, she never found out he was not good. By the way.
No, but he misled her. Remember, she was like, "Who am I? Why did he do this?" And he didn't tell me this. And then the Sifu, the second male lead Sifu, like he like tricked everybody, and then the demon's like, "Oh, GT, you've been my pawn since the beginning. Like you've been my pawn, since whatever when your mother ran off." Yeah. So like I was like, "Oh, everything's a lie."
So there's a third dartboard. There's the amnesia dartboard for the scriptwriter. There is the, what did we say? Oh, the read your messages, but don't, right? Miss messages. And then now it was all a lie. Haha.
Yeah. Like multiple times. And I was like, oh my god. No, my rating is still 8.3.
You're very, very
Despite-
generous. You're very generous.
Despite
Look,
all of that.
based on the characters, out of goodwill to the characters, like I said, they live in my head. Sure, they deserve like a 7.5 from me. If without that, I'm not even gonna give it a 7.5.
Yeah.
So,
Well, anyways.
okay, on to the next movie or show.